this is a coach that helped you to your first 2 Super Bowls.
Yes. It's my greatest concern because I know what Mike is capable of. And this is what he really wants to do, Skip. I haven't talked to Mike over the last couple of years. I think he's perfectly content being in this role as opposed to being a head coach, because all he does is watch practice tape and watch game tape. He doesn't have to put together a practice schedule. He doesn't have to worry about travel. He doesn't have to worry about cuts and transactions.
Yep.
He has to worry about none of that. All he is in the lab coming up with a formula that's going to help his son win the Super Bowl. I know what this man is capable of, Skip, and you give him 2 weeks. The thing is with him, he's going to look at the way they practice, he's going to look at the game, and he's going to look at Kansas City, and he says, okay, this is what they like to do. Now, Mike, they're going to run the football. This is what the 49ers, this is who they are by nature, running the football. But he's going to give them so many different formations and so many different looks while he's running the football. This is not going to be Tennessee where we hand it to Derrick Henry or we toss it to Derrick Henry. No. Deebo Samuel's going to get 3 or 4 handoffs. Emmanuel Sanders will get 2 to 3. Mostert, Breda, they'll get their touches with so many different formations, so many different looks, because the key to beating the Chiefs has been and always will be the tried and true formula. You keep high-powered offenses led by a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. You keep his butt on the sideline, because the more cracks you give at Skip, they have an unbelievable defense. But the more cracks he gets at you, the more chances he gets an opportunity to see what you're doing and what you're trying to do, the less likely you are to beat it. Kyle understands that. Mike understands that. It reminds me of a situation like our first Super Bowl in San Diego. We played the Packers. Brett Favre was 3rd consecutive MVP. They were back. They just had won the Super Bowl the year before.
Yep.
Okay, we had a good defense. We won the 85 Bears. But what we do? We ran the football. 39 rush attempts, almost 180 yards. We're going to limit Brett Favre's possessions. They're going to try to do everything they possibly can to limit those possessions. Kansas City will have to have their best defensive game of the year in order to beat this team, because Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan will come up with a game plan that's heavy run. And if they're not careful, Skip, this game can get away from them. But I'm not concerned about that defense and that front 4, because Patrick Mahomes and those weapons will make their plays. But you can't make plays if you're not on the field. And the 49ers, and the Chiefs is not a ball club that really takes the ball away and put points on the ball for their offense. They have to score. So that's my biggest concern, is what Mike Shanahan is doing as we speak.
By the way, we've got these reversed. You should have that one.
That is
true.
You push that one over here.
Thank you. Now we got it. Thank you.
There we go. Let's go.
I want our audience here and in their living rooms, wherever they might be watching, to understand the predicament this man finds himself in right now. He loves him some Mahomes boy. I got it. But all of a sudden, he finds himself in a can't win almost, because the guy who masterminded his first 2 Super Bowl rings is overseeing the offense of the team facing Mahomes boy in this Super Bowl. And he knows it in his heart of hearts. He's up against not only Kyle, but double jeopardy. Mike Shanahan is the advisor to his son. He's the unofficial head coach of the 49ers.
And I've known Kyle Shanahan since he was 10.
Since he was a little kid. And all of a sudden, right before your very eyes, the formula by which you were able to win your first 2 Super Bowl rings in Denver is taking shape with this team.
Yep.
These guys, they're doing just what they did in 1997 to the Packers. It's the same blueprint.
It is.
All of a sudden, I look back at that Super Bowl against Brett Favre, and John Elway threw for a grand total of 123 yards. It's Jimmy G all over again. You turned John, what was he, 37 at that point? He got to go along for a great ride. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to an obvious first ballot Hall of Famer, but at that stage and age, it was time to run the football.
Right.
And you found out of heaven, out of the sixth round like Brady, Terrell Davis. He had some issues at Georgia. I can't remember all the injuries. And
had a coach, and the coaches didn't get along.
Didn't get along, and all of a sudden, Mike said, I can do something with Terrell Davis, who, by the way, is in the Hall of Fame alongside you.
Right.
And what happened in that Super Bowl game? He went 30 carries for 157 yards. That'll work.
Yep.
That kept John Elway kind of out of the way, and it kept Brett Favre off the field for the most part. And you hung on, what was it, 31 to 24?
31-24.
Okay. And you had a Super Bowl ring, and you turned right around the next year and pretty much rinse and repeated the same formula.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And all of a sudden, you win again, and you've got two Super Bowl rings. Wow, that's pretty good. And all of a sudden, we fast forward to 2020, and it's happening again, right on schedule for Mahomes boy, because Jimmy G just got away with completing 6 passes in the NFC Championship game. True. 6 passes. That's impossible. Yeah, 2 in the second half. You can't do that today, but they did.
Right.
And they found a kid named Mostert who's bounced all around this league on practice squads and cut 6 times. And all of a sudden, Mike and Kyle Shanahan say, he can run now. He was a track, you know, he could run track in high school and college at Purdue.
Sure. Right.
Guess what? If we get creative and clever, because there are a lot of bells and whistles. This is not Derrick Henry down your throat.
Nope.
This is all over the map with smoke and mirrors.
A lot of window dressing.
Lots of stuff. There's a lot of motions going on, and a lot of what they call outside zone, not to get too technical, where they are outsmarting you and outflanking you and then out-physicaling you. And I actually heard several of the receivers, starting with Kittle. You call him the best tight end, but why do you give him the edge? Because he can block.
He's a dominating blocker.
Dominating blocker. And after the NFC game, they're all talking about, we take great pride in blocking.
You got to.
Well, how many diva receivers today would take pride in blocking?
No.
Not many, if any.
That system is not for everyone. Because in order for you to run the ball, look, the offensive line gets you to the line of scrimmage. But for the kind of runs that Mostert was having in that NFC Championship game, Skip, down the field, you got to have wide receivers that's rooting out strong safeties and knocking people off, holding up on the corners outside. That's the only way you get long runs. That's the only way you get 200-plus yards rushing. Offensive line did a great job getting him to the line of scrimmage unscathed. He had to make no sudden moves. He didn't have to dodge anybody in the backfield. But once you break the line of scrimmage, in order for you to get those kind of runs that they got, your wide receivers, Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, are doing a great job of knocking people off down the field.
Emmanuel Sanders was gloating after the NFC Championship game about how many great blocks he threw. I've never heard that. That was a thing of the past, the distant past, like prehistoric past.
There are very few receivers that see their value outside of catching the football. Emmanuel Sanders, Kyle Shanahan has done a great job of convincing his guy, Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, to name a few, that, you know what, guys, you might not catch 10 balls, but you can help us win the ball game by blocking down the field. Because, see, Skip, when you look at all you see is 10 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that's your only value, it's hard for you to buy into run blocking. But these guys have bought into run blocking, and guess where they are? In Miami. And guess where those diva receivers that caught 100 passes and 1,500 yards, guess where they are? Watching.
And why is Deebo nicknamed Deebo? We know why. He's one bad you-know-what.
Yep.
And he is as physical a wide receiver, even as a rookie, as I see in the league.
Right.
So he can run it and he can block it.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Mike Shanahan is overseeing, saying, I got the formula for old Sharpe here. Yep. So I just might be able to put old Sharpe right back in his place, and maybe I can derail
Mahomes boy?
Patrick Jordan, as we're calling him. Right?
What is that? Look, they're still going to look. There's one thing that says, okay, this is what we need to do. There's something else to do it. Skip, look, let's not minimize what this guy's done. He's special. They have weapons. I don't know if we've seen a guy this talented have this kind of weapons. Duper and Clayton were great receivers, but nobody possessed the kind of speed that these guys have. This is a track team, and Mahomes does a great job. And what now you got to factor in his legs, because we've seen him go get 8 first downs and over 50 yards rushing in the over 100 yards rushing in the 2 games combined. And he had a run, Skip, that's his moment. That might be his moment. You know, that 27-yard touchdown run, running like Derrick Henry. I thought he looked baby Henry myself.
I saw it again last night, and I thought, are they playing this in slow motion? Because he looked like he was running like a 5 540, maybe.
Well, we all know who he can outrun.
Yeah. Well,
Don't we?
He doesn't really. He's 42 years old, and
I didn't call no name. How you know who I was talking about?
I'm glad you brought that up because he had one run against Mahomes. I think he ran for like 17 yards. Remember that? In the fourth
Yeah,
quarter?
that one.
No, 17.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably ended his career. But who knows?
Oh, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We are just getting started talking about the Super Bowl. So much more coming your way, but we're going to shift gears as we continue to honor the life of Kobe Bryant. Chris Broussard will stop by next. More Undisputed live from Miami.